going to not take questions today, and I'm going to ask you just for some forgiveness on that. I think a lot has been said, but I do have a lot I want to say. And the first thing I want to say is that I have truly one of the most impressive staffs any governor could hope for. These people have integrity and respect and come into work every day wanting to move the ball for the people of South Carolina. What we saw happen today was unprecedented, and it was a sad time for our state, because you had a group of legislators that chose to show their political muscle and get good people up there. You can shoot at me all you want to. That's my job. I'll take it every time. They don't deserve what had to happen today. They shouldn't have to raise their hand and say that this is the truth. And this hearing was called upon. Let's be very clear. This hearing was called upon by Vincent Shaheen, my former gubernatorial opponent, on the basis of an unclear anonymous email and a he said, she said in a bar by a legislator that is known in these walls as the legislator of 5 points. To do that and disrespect any member of my staff is unacceptable, because if you mess with them, you're messing with me. Now, let's get back to actually what happened at the hearing. What happened at the hearing was what we exactly told you was going to happen. They got up there and they told the truth. You have now heard from the DHEC board. You have heard from the DHEC staff. You have heard from me. You have heard from my governor's staff. All of them testified under oath that there was not 1 ounce of influence put on that DHEC board to make that decision. What happened was DHEC did exactly what I hoped they would do from day 1 in January, which is take the politics out of that board, take the slowness out of that board, and make decisions based on the merit and do what's right. And for a long time, DHEC has done what legislators have wanted them to do. What we saw was DHEC did it based on benchmarks. They did it based on merit. In a time where the Corps said they didn't need our DHEC to give approval, not only did they go ahead and grant it based on merit and benchmarks, but we got 50 years worth of financial commitments and measurables on top of that. Now, when this decision came down, this is the difference. Your legislature whined about it, complained to Sue about it, talked about subpoenas. What did we do? This staff immediately said we were going to take the challenge and make it an opportunity. And what did we have to show for it? A letter from the governor of Georgia, a letter from the 2 U.S. senators of Georgia saying we will support and make sure that Charleston has our support in funding and the construction of a good, viable port. That's what we did. So while they complained about it, we did something about it. One of the things that I know was talked about was the Deal meeting, the Governor Deal meeting, and how that happened. The meeting with Governor Deal was in the works for months. Right after I was elected, Governor Deal and I had talked about meeting. Why? Because we're sister states. Governor Perdue and I have also met and talked on things as well. When you do that, you talk about things that's good for the region. You talk about whether there's a hurricane, who's going to help. You talk about infrastructure. You talk about businesses. You talk about any issues that you have, because at the end of the day, only governors know the challenges of what it means to lead a state. Governor Deal and I had 2 scheduled meetings. Both had to be canceled. One had to be canceled on his part. Mine had to be canceled for this flight that Alan Amsler gave me, that y'all love to talk about, which was for the death of my 5-year-old nephew. That's what that flight was. Now, the 3rd meeting happened, and we talked about a lot of things. One was the courtesy of a hearing. I will do that for any governor, because I know every one of my colleagues, Republican or Democrat, would do that for me. But we stopped there. We didn't ask them what to do. We didn't tell them what to do. They did it based on merit. I've had a lot of time to just kind of reflect over the last week, and I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I met with several TV stations yesterday to talk about my first year. And what I will tell you is that I am very proud of my state. I see a vision of how great this state can be. But I don't want to talk about it. I want to show it in results. That's why we showed it in getting a sponsor for the Heritage Golf Tournament when no one thought we could. That's why we showed it in the 20,000 jobs that you've seen when everybody talked about how bad the economy was. That's why we're trying to show it in this executive budget that our staff's been working on for weeks to make sure we get back on track. That's how we showed it when we pushed for tort reform that made us one of the most competitive in the Southeast by finally putting caps on lawsuits. That's how we showed it when we fought Boeing and we fought for Boeing and said that the NLRB wasn't going to go and have their way with any companies in South Carolina. We did it by actions. We didn't do it by talking. We didn't do it by showing political muscle. We did it by being smart. And the challenges that I feel bad in South Carolina after my first year, what gives me the most pause and keeps me thinking at night is how am I ever going to change this old guard? Because this old guard, all they know how to do is say can't and no. Every single time. Can't and no. I don't know that. I can't deal with that. And what I found is I feel like this legislator that was fighting to get legislators to vote on the record. And for 3 years they beat me up for it. All because they said they would decide what the public needed to see and what they don't. Today we were called up by a Senate, the same Senate that said it was unconstitutional for people to know how they vote. What we are dealing with is a legislature that likes decisions when it's their decisions, that likes policy when it's their policy. But they don't know how to think beyond that. They can't see the forest for the trees. Now that's my job. I'm going to continue working with them. I'm going to continue to fight for what I know is right. I'm going to continue to back my staff. I'm going to continue to back my board. And now I'm hearing from the Senate that they think they need to have more oversight over the situation. They've had oversight for the Charleston ports for 10 years, and those ports have sat and done nothing. When I say that the Georgia ports had their way with us, you bet they had their way with us because they worked. They got distribution centers. They got infrastructure. They did things to make their ports vibrant. What did we do? What did South Carolina do? Nothing. Nothing. That's not going to happen anymore. And if they think calling my staff up and subpoenaing my staff, or continuing to throw arrows at me, or continuing to bring and say there's issues where they're not, is going to stop me, all they're doing is motivating me more. Because this state deserves better. We deserve better than what they're giving us. They're giving us can't and no. And I'm telling you that this girl doesn't know how to stop. Because I know how great South Carolina can be. I know that I'm not going to stop until we put every person to work. Just imagine if we had taken that same time that they took in those meetings and those subpoenas and put that into jobs and the economy and recruiting companies here. That's what I'm doing every day. That's what these people are doing every day. We are Team South Carolina. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. We are Team South Carolina. And when we've got naysayers out there who have forgotten that there is a mission to serving in the office that they hold, who continue to think that their political muscle means they can say and do anything they want, they can make up any conversation that they want, they can create any anonymous email that they want, there is a serious problem. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work hard. What I ask you to do is respect these people behind me, because while it was said they had to show up today, they didn't have to show up today. We could have fought that subpoena. But I told them to go up there because I knew we were right. I knew we had been honest. I knew we had done the right thing. And we did that. But I will tell you, enough is enough. The political games are slowing our state down in a time where we should be winning. Now, we'll win because I'm in charge. I'm not going to have this lose on my watch. But it sure would be a lot better if I had a legislature that would work with me. I think that's all I have to say. Again, forgive me for not taking questions. I think enough was said today, but we'll make sure we do some availabilities over the next couple of days. Thank you very much.